Hello, friends. So, one of the gals gave me a suggestion that actually sounded super fun. So, I'm making art now for my Etsy shop. I opened up an Etsy shop selling collage art, magazine collage art, and vintage collage, and things like that. But the gal asked if I would show how to make a Weirdcore. This is Weirdcore, so we'll talk about that, don't worry. Art project. But first I want to talk to you about the difference between copying and inspiration. So if I seen this on the internet and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to make something like that, I wouldn't try to make it exactly the way that artist did. I would try to make it in a style like mine. And I'll give you the perfect example. Selling on Etsy, there's a huge trend of cats sitting on toilets. And if I remember, I'll show you my version of a cat sitting on a toilet. So when you're using somebody's art as inspiration, do it in your style, but use the things that they did on that picture. So what makes this Weirdcore to me is the flowers in the background, the eyeballs, the two-headed lady, and then I loved how cute her little black boots were. And then this is part of a footstool. So things in here: two heads, eyeballs, flowers, footstool, a top, legs. I just colored those legs in, and shoes. So that's what we're looking for as that. And then I have this background. This is the background that I used on here. You can kind of see it in the back, but I let it darken up. If you make a really cool background that you love, just scan it and then you can have it to use again. So that's how I would start this process. So I have 3 magazines for us today. They're new ones. We're going to harvest some images to try to recreate how I would do that. So we need a shirt. Oh, there's a shoe. So we're going to keep in mind the shoes because we may not be able to find perfectly matched shoes because I did that on the iPad where I could copy the opposite shoe. But we're going to try to find some shoes. There's Rachel. Oh, here's another thing. We need a head, 2 heads actually, about that big. So that's how I measure it. So the first thing I need to do is find 2 heads and then some eyes, right? Because I was just seeing Rachel and her head is too small. All right. Okay, so this lady, her head's too small. No shoes. Ooh, 30 days of snacks. I like snacks. Okay, those are fun. If you wanted to do something different, this seems like Weirdcore to me. You could have some of these weird things and put eyeballs on them because doing magazine collage, one of the very weird things about doing magazine collage is that we have to find things in the magazines that we can then translate into our artwork. And that's not always as easy as if you're like, you can draw and do all that. Everybody's always like, I could never draw like that. Well, I don't draw. I just cut people out and then color them. Whole bunch of hamburgers. Corn. This would make an amazing background, you guys. That is fun. More corn. Look at that little gal. I love her. She would make such a cute little person to sit on the corner of your page. Maybe have him on the other side. All right. Oh, and there's another one. So that could be fun to add to your collage. The thing that I have found about collages is that the more you use different elements, the better. Now look at this. This could be the shirt, right? So you could cut out that little shirt and make another shirt. That's very close. That could be fun to do as the body of it. And you're not going to have the same magazines as I am. There's no way. And you wouldn't want to, because you don't want to make exactly what I made. You want to make something that's in your own art style. All right, we don't have very many flowers. Oh, I have some birds in bloom over there. I love this. So I would totally cut these out and then maybe just color them in with Posca pens. But I love a banner. I would put that behind it. I love that so much. I do love a banner. I don't know why I love banners so much, but I do. Look at him. Little bunny. All right. Oh, those windows are super cool. I would use those as a background. That could be such a cute little background, right? Because we're doing purple. So you could cut out the windows and the little, I would maybe go the whole way across and then kind of here. And you could put those windows in the background of this piece to add interest. Nice. Not very many heads. Oh, shoes. 2 shoes. Wait a minute. There's that shoe. And they're both facing the same way. No, I thought we'd found it. It's fine. We'll find another something to use. Apples like this are always good for borders. I used some really nice beets the other day. They just add a little something in there. All right, so any of these would be wonderful to cut out and fussy cut to put, see how I have vintage greenery? But you could put a little piece of that and cut out those little stems and then just draw curlies. That'd be amazing. Perfect. There was a program that I watched years ago. If you guys, oh, there's some eyes, right? So I would cut out both of those eyes. I don't use little kids stuff very often, but we need like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eyes. So you could definitely cut out those eyes. They're exactly the right size, right? So that's about what we could get from there. So let's pull out what we thought. So we have these eyes. I like those windows. We have this herb page. And maybe we put these windows in the back. And then I would take this one too, because we may need some border pieces. And that would make a really fun textural border. Okay, let's do Better Homes and Gardens so we can see what we can get. We're looking for shoes, a body, a skirt. Ooh, those are slick. I like those. No, we don't need that on here. A bathtub. I love a bathtub. Okay, there's some flowers. So for sure we'll grab those. There's those again. I kind of feel like we could do something with the fact that there's a bunch of those. Where do we see those? There they are. So we're going to pull out that page. See, I can't help myself. I have to keep going. I'm showing you how I would pick images. And then the next time I make one of these, and oh, these are hats. Look at the hats. So you can turn this upside down. And that's a perfect hat, right? There's the brim of the hat. There's the hat. That's fun. This is a hat. So if I was doing this, I might make, you know, this a hat on, it would have to be a bigger piece of paper, right? Like that's going to be way too big to have 2 hats. It would take up the whole thing. But if they were a little bit smaller, I might give them hats. Okay. These would make great skirts. See how I have a little skirt under here? This would make a great little skirt. This would make a great little skirt that you could put in this underneath part. This is perfect. Look at this. This is almost exactly that. And I would probably, let me make sure you can see this. I would probably use a little bit of this bottom and cut up into there to make the skirt. I love me a nice cocktail. There's a flower, 2 flowers. So if you're really hurting for flowers, you don't have to use real flowers. You could use pretend flowers because we're going to layer them, right? That's part of it. So you don't have to, and especially when you're putting a big old eyeball in the middle of it, you don't need to have perfect flowers. And the other thing I'll tell you is that very rarely do I find everything all at once. I have big, these 13 by 13 plastic envelopes from scrapbook.com where I save cutouts. So I wouldn't necessarily expect to find everything to make my Weirdcore thing in one sitting, but I would start to collect pieces of it to have going forward. There's hair. Somebody said they'd like to see a hair video. Maybe I'll do a hair video. Oh, some more bodies. You could make a red skirt. You could use that as a dark colored skirt. This one's pretty good. It has a little weirdness, but that's fine. When your thing has 2 heads and a whole bunch of eyeballs, nobody's going to notice if there's a little overlap on your skirt. I'm just here to tell you this. I'm probably passing up things and you're like, oh my gosh, that was the best. Okay, so this is amazing. Really good. You could put this in the back if you wanted to. Oh, this is wonderful. This is Thanksgiving. Look at all the pumpkins and the Thanksgiving. I have a little, oh my goodness. There's some flowers you might be able to use. I have a little section of my magazine stash that is Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I'm going to have to put this one. There's some more of those. So if we're collecting different pictures of that, we'll pull it out. Yep, perfect. Oh, and there's a little wreath. So I love when there's like a big and a little version of things. Here's some eyes or a head, because that lady's in a lot of ads. So if you wanted to, you could use her and her eyes. There's some more eyes. Good eyes. She's very squinty eyes. I like big eyes. Oh, a pickle and a kitty. Okay. Okay. Ooh, Halloween or Thanksgiving. All right. So she's been in one of my other magazines. They must have featured her. All right. And this is a Bazaar. Harper's Bazaar. Do they have... Oops, I lost my inspiration. That's so funny. I lost my inspiration. I thought it would be a little heavier than that. Okay. Back on. Oh, the reason I was stopping was there's a little bit of gold. You could, like this one, could be up here at the neck where both of the heads came out. And then I just painted that the same color as their faces. So that could be a good neck piece. That could be a skirt for her. Ooh, what are those? What is that? Leather lollipop holder for $650? Ooh, Bazaar. You are way more expensive than I am. Okay, there's 2 shoes together, but I like them to be, you know, that way. I always love a pocketbook. I make them into hats. This could be cute. So if you can't find shoes going opposite ways, you could definitely put both little feet going the same way, and that would be cute too. Oh, look at all those hats. So many hats. There's a hat. I love a teacup hat. And that would be the right size to put just a little teacup up there if you wanted. We are not doing very good with heads though. Oh, here we go. Her head's just the right size. And there's her head again. Perfect. So now oh my God. I'll show you at the end, but that's perfect. Oh, I got so excited. Let me see if there's any shirts or skirts. I don't love that her hands are in her pockets, but you could maybe do something with her legs, like do 1 foot over here. Those are very big shorts. So close. They're all facing that way. We need some facing that way. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to sort these out and be right back. Okay, so we are going to try... I'm not going to make it because I already made this once. I love you, but I'm not making the same thing over and over again. But I'm going to show you all the pieces of what I would use to make this design. So we're going to start with, we found 2 heads of the same lady. They're very close to the same size, right? You could maybe even, because you're going to put new eyes on her anyways, you could maybe even trim her face down a tiny bit, but you would have her eyes ready to go. You need a collar to bring the 2 things out. I think this is exactly the right size collar to do that. You need a skirt. So we said I would probably go with, like, if you don't want it to be as big as the bottom of the bell, come across here and cut that out, and that would make a great skirt. Or if you want one a little bit bigger, which it doesn't matter, or cut it off so it's a little smaller, that would be a really good replacement for the skirt. Shoes. So we couldn't find shoes going opposite ways, but you could have 2 little legs coming down into here. Make some socks, like make it funny. And then I would also probably fussy cut this out. And maybe you give them, you know, some earrings. I don't know. Okay, next we're going to look at what we need. So we need 2 sets of eyeballs, so we don't have enough eyeballs. We would have to go to another magazine for eyeballs. But you could use those eyes for her. I would use these eyeballs for here. And this lady's in everything, right? This lady with the 1 hour drop, she's in all kinds of magazines. So if your heads aren't exactly the same, you could make her eyes exactly the same by using this lady's eyeballs, just finding her in another magazine. I would use these eyeballs for here. Then I would fussy cut out these flowers. Now I would probably do this one by itself, then those 2, then those 2, then this one. And you start to put them around, right? You could put the gorge, you could cut out some of these nuts just to have some other things here. Then we found the perfect leaves to be in the background to make like stems to go along. This herb, I'm in love with this. So you could use the mint, you could use these guys, keep those for stems. Like this one is amazing. And then we're going to put this in the background, right? And cut along this window. And for me, I have a purple background made, so I would put that on there. If you didn't have a purple background made, you could maybe even put some of this on here and color in the bottom, because don't forget, a lot of this bottom is going to be covered up by your eyeballs and plants, and you have a 2-headed lady, so nobody's really going to be studying your background to make sure it's perfect. And then I like to have all kinds of little things to go around. So I would maybe make these shoulder epaulettes, something like that. But we have big ones. We have this wicked cute flower that you could put in there, right? We've got some really great bits. Okay, I admit it. I just took these out because I think these are the most amazing things. So that is how I would find magazine collage images to try to recreate the Weirdcore woman. I will put a link to my Etsy shop if you want to get a really good view of her. And hopefully that helps. Tara Jacobson, Artsy Fartsy Life.